Now let's learn about indexing and slicing a tensor. First, let's try on two-dimensional tensor. So let's name the variable tensor2D and create one two-dimensional tensor using the uniform method. The uniform method of random module of TensorFlow. So df.random.uniform. We know it takes three arguments. At first argument it takes shape, and at second argument it takes the minimum value. Let's say we want to pass minimum value 15, and at third argument it takes maximum value. Let's say we want 25, and shape we will pass 2 by 3. Execute it. Okay, any misspelled? Okay, I misspelled this one. Uniform. Execute it and test the tensor. 2D. Great. Now, what if we want to get this value, the first value? Well, we can do that easily. We can get that easily using indexing. And while using indexing, we have to keep in mind the dimension. We have to pass index equal to dimension. So if our dimension is 2, we have to pass 2 indexes. If our dimension is 3, we have to pass 3 indexes. And if our dimension is 4, we have to pass 4 indexes. So let's check the dimension. Tensor2D.ndim. We can see our dimension, our tensor's dimension is 2, so we will pass 2 indexes. So tensor2D square bracket and 2 indexes. And we will separate the index using comma. We know this one is at first position of row. Also, if we count about column, here also we can see it's at first position. It means it's at column 0 and row 0. First we have to pass the row. The position of row is 0 and the position of column also 0. So if we execute it, we'll be able to see this value. Great. What if we want to get this value? We know if we count the column, its position is 0. The column is 0. And if we count the row, 0, 1. The row position is 1. Great, we can see this value. What if we want this value? So we know the column position is 2 here. The index will be 1, 0, 1. The column position is 1. And row is as usual 1. So you can see the value. What if we want to see this value, the last value? We know row is 1. The index of the row is 1. And index of the column is 0, 1, and 2. Awesome. We can see the exact value. Well, if it's the last value, then instead of passing the index number, we can simply pass -1. So it's the last value of the column. The column will be -1. And the last row, so we can also pass -1 here. Awesome, it's working perfectly. What if we want the value of second row, means index 1 and all the column? So let's get the first column first. First column and all other column. then we can simply pass colon here. You can see all the column has been printed here. Well, if we want first two column, then we can say 0 and 1. And we can see only the first value, because the index counts up to, not including. So the index is 1, it's up to 1 means 0. If it was included 1, then it would count 1. Because it's up to 1, so we have to add 1 more. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Great. We can see all these two values. What if we want these two values? Okay, let's try to get this one first. Row 0 and column 0. Great, we are getting this one. So it will count row 0 and then column 0. Okay. For column 0, every row, we are saying for column 0 and row 0 and every row for column 0. Let's execute it. Perfect. Let me explain again. So we are saying row 0, column 0. And using this colon, we say all. For all, we will say column 0. From row 0 we will start, we'll keep going till we find column 0. So if we increase the number of rows here, let's make it 6, execute it, execute this one, and if we execute this one, it will do, first it will take row 0 and column 0, because we have row 0 and column 0, and for row we are saying keep going on, but keep in mind your column will be 0 always. So it's going on for column 0, column 0, column 0, column 0 and column 0. Let's execute it again, and we can see this one is this one, 2175, 2175, 1640, 1640, 1860, 1860, and so on and so on. Now let's try on a three-dimensional array. So tensor equal to df.random.uniform, and here let's pass the shape 2 by 3 by 4, and then the minimum value 50 and the maximum value 99. Execute it, check the tensor, and try to slice the tensor. We know our index will be up to the dimension. So we know the dimension, let's check it again. Tensor.endim. It's 3 dimension. So tensor square bracket 0, 0, 0. So it will print this one. Perfect. What if we want this value? Then it's our first data set. So for first data set 0, it's our second column. Let's first count row. So it's our second row, first row, second row. So index 1, and it's the first column, column 0. Perfect. What if we want this data? We know it's second data set. So this index will be 1. and this one must be 0 because the index of this row is 0. So 0 and column is definitely 0. So execute it and we can see it. What if we want this value? Simply we can pass -1 and -1 and -1 because this is the last set of data, last row and last column. Awesome. We can see the exact data. What if we want only these two set of data? We know the last set and last row. So -1, -1 and column 0, 1. So column 1 and 2. So from is exactly we will write from 1 and it will be up to because its position is 2 and it counts up to, so it will be 3. From 1 up to 3. Then it should print these two values. Let's try it. Awesome, it's working perfectly. What if we want all the values of these columns? So it will be row 0, column 0. So row 0 and column 0. For data set, it's 0. Okay, and row 0 and go on for every row. So go on for every row, keeping the column 1 and dataset 1. Execute it. You can see 6306, 6239, 53, 58. Awesome. What if we want to include this one too? So we will say for every dataset, keep going on. And for every column, keep going on. But keep in mind, it will be only the first column. Awesome. This one is for first dataset. Here, here, and here. This one is for second dataset. Here, here, and here. What if we want this dataset, the last column of all the rows? Simply, we can say -1. Awesome. It's working perfectly. What if we want only these two? I mean this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So from 0 to all dataset, because we are coming in all the datasets, and from 0 to all the rows because we are coming into all the rows, and for column it will be only this one and this one, so 1 and 2. So it will be 1 and we know it counts up to, so it will be 3. From 1 till 3. From 1 up to 3. Awesome. We can see exact values we wanted. I hope now it's clear to you all how indexing and slicing works in multidimensional and two-dimensional tensors in TensorFlow.